I've been saying for quite a long time, all the way back when Microsoft were planning on releasing most of their games or some of their big games onto PlayStation 5. And as a PlayStation gamer, don't get me wrong, it is an amazing thing that we were going to get all of these games that were on Xbox. Like, you know, I've played Forza Horizon 5, lost my account, I can't get over it, I won't get over it. Games announced like Halo, Fable, and to think there were more games coming out, and then we had like Starfield. Still haven't completed that, but it always baffled me. How do you expect to sell consoles if you don't sell exclusive games onto that console? What would be the reason for people to go out and buy those consoles? And even when I used to talk about it, a lot of people in the community would say, well, you know, gone are the days of exclusive games. Yeah, at least everyone can play them. But then I was just like, it doesn't make any sense, because how do you expect to launch a console that's worth over £500-600, especially with the next generation? Let's be honest, the next generation is, you're looking at maybe £1,000 for the console. So if there's no exclusive games on there, then what is the point? Now, obviously last week we had some really cool flipping events. We had the PlayStation State of Play, which I thought was absolutely incredible. Hardly, if not any, live service games in that State of Play. What does that tell you, Sony? We had Summer Game Fest, and then obviously we had the Xbox showcase as well, which I did tune into, and I have to say, it looks like potentially Xbox may be back, and I think that's only a good thing. So if you do like these videos, make sure you hit the like button. Quite a few games were announced at that Xbox showcase, but one of them at the start was Gears of War E-Day. And I did play the Gears of War that released on PS5, and to be honest, I haven't actually completed it. I don't know why. I've struggled to get into that game for some reason, but I will get back to it eventually. They did say that that game is an Xbox exclusive, and it looks like some of these Xbox games come in, like Gears of War and Clockwork Revolution, which I was quite interested in. They are never coming to PS5. And you got to remember, with this Xbox showcase that was shown, this was obviously planned months in advance. Supposedly that new Gears of War was actually going to be coming out on PlayStation 5, but they decided to cancel it. And it feels like Xbox are finally understanding what it means. It just shows you how bad Sarah Bond was, and Phil Spencer in the end. Let's be honest, because Sarah Bond was responsible for that flipping ad that was everything's an Xbox. It makes you think, how do you think she got that job, and why did she get that job? She was absolutely terrible, especially to just feel like everyone who has supported Xbox, screw you, I don't really care, everything's an Xbox. By the way, we're going to bring out a new Xbox, please buy it. So she's done very well. Asha Shana, is it? I feel like she's done very well coming back, you know, only 4 months in charge of Xbox. It just shows you exclusivity is coming back. As part of our focus on the return of Xbox, we also announced that Gears of War E-Day and Clockwork Revolution will be Xbox console exclusives. These are not timed exclusives. Games already announced for multi-platform releases will stick to the plan. We're committed to investing in and growing Xbox both on console and beyond. Now, the thing about this as well is that I do think this will be a case-by-case basis. So future Xbox exclusivity will be case-by-case. PS5 ports will be revealed alongside release dates. So as you can see here, Xbox boss Matt Booty was interviewed, and it said, our big multiplayer games, our big live service games are going to continue to be multi-platform. If we're promised something to players already, we're going to honor that promise, and then we're going to make the right decision. Not necessarily a fast decision going forward. When we announce a date, we want to announce the platform. So it's going to be a case by case. The phrasing case by case may haunt PS5 owners, because the same ambiguous technology the platform holder used when it purchased third-party publishers like Bethesda and Activision earlier in the generation. I do think for the most part Xbox will get back to exclusivity, and then they can start getting players back to buying their next generation console and maybe the current generation console. But I do think there are some games that will benefit being multi-platform, since they've already committed to it. I think if they could go back, they probably wouldn't make maybe games like Halo. I don't think they would make that multi-platform by bringing it over to the PS5, because that was Xbox. Originally, Halo and Xbox went hand in hand. So it's crazy that to think that this game is coming out in less than a month. What I do think will happen is that they will monitor the sales of these games. Now, games like Forza Horizon 6 still has to come out on PlayStation 5. Can't wait to play that if I don't lose that account as well. But my point is, if that sells like another 5 million copies like the Forza Horizon 5 did on the PlayStation 5, I think it makes sense to keep that multi-platform in the future. Like, if you've committed to it, you've sold people on it, if there's a Forza Horizon 7, it makes you think that why wouldn't you keep that multi-platform if you know you're going to get another 5 million copies sold at least. And I think with Halo, I think that's a very interesting one, because I feel like they're going to really monitor the sales of Halo. They're going to think, you know what, let's see how this sells. If this doesn't sell well, we are not bringing this on the next generation PlayStation 6 or even the next game on the PS5. Forget about it. If it does sell well though, I think since you've brought it out now on the PlayStation 5, it makes sense that, you know what, if we're going to sell at least another 5 million copies, why not? Why not bring that out? So there's still quite a lot of games that are multi-platform, and it makes sense. So obviously you've got Spyro, that new game, A Realm Beyond. I've got early memories of that on the PS1. You've got Senua Saga's Hellblade 3, is it? That's coming out. Didn't get into any of those and wasn't really impressed by the feedback on the Hellblade 2. You've got State of Decay 3. Obviously, you've got Call of Duty that's obviously going to stay multi-platform. But it feels like for this generation and going into the next generation, it feels like we're going to be back to those console wars, which I think is a good thing. I've been saying this. I only play on PlayStation 5. There's no reason for me to get an Xbox. If Forza Horizon 7 was an Xbox exclusive, I liked Forza 5 that much, I really would consider potentially getting an Xbox just for that if I had the money. For the most part, I'm good with my PlayStation 5. There's just too many games to get through that for me doesn't warrant getting into another console. I like to have everything on one console, and for me, since I was a young kid, it's only been one console, and it's only been PlayStation. But I feel like it's going to be good going into the next generation. And what does this mean for Sony? I feel like this means that they're going to be putting more effort in. That's super important if they do that, because the last thing we want is for them to start taking the piss, which they have done with like live service games, realized it hasn't gone well. And with that recent state of play, it is one of the best state of plays that has been shown in recent years. And think what you want of like the big games like God of War, Lao Fei. I think I'm quite excited for that game. I think that's going to be an amazing game, and it feels like they're getting back to these story-driven games. And yes, there's going to be other games and third parties that are, you know, multi-platform. We've got Final Fantasy VII Revelations coming out next year. I think it's a great time to be a gamer, but also not a great time because of the amount it costs for, say, console. Which brings me to obviously like the Steam Deck going up in price. It's ridiculous how much it's gone. I don't blame them, but it's the fact that because of AI, this has happened. Again, we don't know what it's going to cost for these next generation consoles, and I think it's going to be one of the most hardest sells for the next generation. Like trying to sell a £1,000 console or an £800 console is it's a lot harder than a £450 to £500 console, where it feels like now we've got to a ceiling in terms of graphics fidelity. Now it's all about bringing out good games with good stories and great characters. That's what sells. You've seen what's the most popular games in recent years. Clay Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, all of these like AA, these indie studios. You got Hades 2, you've had Balatro in the past, and all of these Asian developers that are killing it as well. So I think we've come to a point with AAA and graphics fidelity that you can't just sell something just on graphics. But with Xbox and PlayStation, it feels like it's going back to the old days, going into the next generation. And as I've said many times, we need this. But do you think this is a good thing for competition? Do you think this is good that Xbox is getting back to, it looks like, exclusivity? They've realized it's really important. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know.